Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing The Sunset Years of Agnes Sharp. This is by Leonie Swann, however it was originally written in German and it has been translated from the German by Amy Bojang. So I'll have these names below in case I am pronouncing them incorrectly. This was a murder mystery. I had this on my to-read list and I got around to reading it and it was so much fun. I loved it. So I'm going to be talking about the plot in this book and then I'm going to give some general thoughts on the book overall, what readers might enjoy in this book, as well as readers who might not enjoy this book or aspects of the book that I think not all readers would enjoy, just so if you're thinking about picking this book up, you know if this is going to be the right book for you. So, The Sunset Years of Agnes Sharp, a murder mystery. So the focus, as you might be able to tell, is on our main protagonist, who is Agnes Sharp. She is an older woman who is living out her, quote, sunset years at a place she calls Sunset Hall. It is her childhood home, and she has kind of taken it upon herself to create a community of older people who don't want to be exiled to a care community where they're basically just medicated up and then left to look at ducks in a pond until they die. She doesn't want to be in this passive state. She wants to create this community where they can live out their last years together with people who have similar minded ideas. So she has a wide variety of people within her house. When the story opens, there is a death in the home, and we get the sense that the death is not we knew this individual named Lilith was going to be dead. So Lilith is currently deceased in the greenhouse in that house. However, that was not a murder. She is just deceased. And when you read the story, you'll understand. And they're wondering what they're going to do with Lilith, and the cops show up at their house and inform them that there has been a murder of their next door neighbor. Now this is really interesting because all of a sudden the members of Sunset Hall think, well, they can pass Lilith's death off as a murder similar to their neighbor's death. And so they're going to try to, first of all, track down whoever killed their neighbor, but also they're going to be able to pass off this death in their household that they're trying to cover up, for lack of a better term. And when you read the story, you can understand why that is. However, there quickly becomes a third death in the village, the small English countryside village that they live in. And both this one and their neighbors seem to be very personal and very violent. It's disturbing. And on top of things, the murder weapon shows back up at their house. The murder weapon is on their kitchen table when they are all there, and this greatly disturbs the residents of Sunset Hall. And now they're determined to figure out who is threatening them and solve this murder. Of course, the two other people who were killed were also older, and so they wonder if they are also at risk. And the police officers are starting to get very suspicious of these men and women who are already perceived as eccentric in the town that they live in, because they seem to have close proximity and close connection to a lot of the individuals in this town. So these older individuals, particularly focused around Agnes Sharp, are doing things like going to the local coffee meeting and checking themselves into the local care home secretly to see if they can get any information. And there's a lot of hijinks and crawling through bushes and trying to solve this, all while also doing things like battling cognitive decline and dealing with a body that physically doesn't move the way it used to, and dealing with older people who have things like tinnitus and can't hear all the time, and also age-related stereotypes, and in Agnes's case, some hard memories from her childhood that she's starting to remember as she solves this case or progresses through this case. So that's where I'm going to leave that right here. The plot, because the rest of that is just figuring out who did it, and I obviously do not want to spoil it. But I think this book could be described as both chaotic and funny. And it was, of course, a murder mystery, so maybe funny isn't the right word. But there was a sense of humor throughout the book. But there were many chaotic storylines, and I'll get back to that chaotic moment, that chaotic characterization in a minute. So I really liked the older characters in this book. I like that they were the focus of the book. I read some cozy mysteries. I wouldn't say a lot of cozy mysteries, but I do read a couple every single year. And I like them, but they feel like they usually focus on middle-aged female protagonists, and that's totally fine. That's in market, and I love them. But I like the idea of older protagonists, and not just older and still like spry and with it, but these are older people who have needs like needing a stair lift to go up and down the stairs, and An essential key plot point is cognitive decline. What happens when you start to have gaps in your memory, and maybe not serious enough to be considered dementia, although I'm not a doctor, so I'm not sure when that starts, but when you start to kind of experience little slips in your memory, which I think is quite common for many people when they're older, even without severe cognitive decline that needs help. So as we age, we're going to start having some more issues, or memory becomes a little more difficult. So there's a point in this book, and an interesting twist that's taken on by several characters throughout this book, where things or people start to have to wrestle with the idea of what happens if they've done something that they can't remember. What if they have committed a crime that they can't remember, and how would they live with themselves if they can't figure out what happened in gaps of their memory? Which I like that, plus the physical decline. He's not your middle-aged cozy mystery protagonist who can leap over garden walls and army crawl through the bush. These are people who have to use things like walkers and hearing aids and false teeth and stair lifts. They're not going to be able to have that spryness, but they're still able to get out there and try to solve this murder mystery, for lack of a better term. I also like that they're kind of pushing back slightly on age-related stereotypes. There is a lot of prejudice against the elderly or people who are older in a lot of places. I would probably argue to say a lot. Well, I'm going to leave that alone. But I think it's one of the areas where it's still very, very, it's not as frowned upon to discriminate against these groups of people. This is in real life, not just this book. And I think, in a sense, Agnes Sharp and her community is pushing back against those stereotypes throughout this book. Even when they do have things like physical and cognitive decline, there's a sense in the community that they should really just be quiet and shut up and sit down and essentially wait to die, and that's not what this community is all about. So I did like that subtle push that kind of connects between things that I see in real life and this fictional book, which is the in some ways tacitly approved discrimination of the elderly, which does occur. I personally was satisfied with this ending and with this whole book, but I think there's a subset of readers who will not enjoy this book, and it's the fact that everything is very chaotic. And I kind of liked it because in real life, things are not just neat and clean. In cozy mysteries, I would not consider this one a cozy mystery because there are at points some violence, and it feels different than a cozy mystery. But in cozy mysteries, it feels like these people never have anything other to do. I mean, they're running a candle shop that somehow sells 300 candles a day, and they can make their rent on that, even though it's open 3 days a week, because they're spending all their time solving murder mysteries, and that's the only thing they have to do. This feels different. It's chaotic, but there's a lot of things going on. There's a grandson coming to visit. There's an age-related decline. Someone's locked in the older, what would you call it, like the aging care facility. There's a tortoise that needs to be found that's always wandering off. So there's all these chaotic things, and I felt like it was kind of funny and added dimension to the story, but I think some people might get annoyed at the various threads and places the story went, and the fact that we weren't focused on one plot line, which is very fair. So if you like murder mysteries that are just focused on the plot line, I would say probably find another book. Well, by all means give this one a try, but I would not be surprised if you found the chaotic storytelling to be a little something that you disliked in this book, is what I'm trying to say. So I did like it. I would recommend giving it a read. If you found my review of this enjoyable, or if it sounds intriguing, please check it out and let me know what you think. And if you have read this book, put your thoughts in the comment section down below. I love to receive your comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.